Hello and welcome to the AI Boardroom. I'm Cheryl Tyas, Global Business Director at Primis Talent, and today we're diving straight into agentic AI. AI that doesn't just follow instructions, it decides, learns, and acts on its own. But here's the catch. Agentic AI can only be as good as the data it's built on. Without the right data, these systems can make mistakes and sometimes very costly ones. Joining me to discuss this is Rudraksh Bawalka, a partner at EY Consulting, where he leads work on cloud, data modernization, and responsible AI. Welcome, Rudraksh. How are you today?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm great. So far, so good. How are you?
Yeah, really well. Sun is shining here in Australia today. I know it's morning hours there for you, but here we are at this time. And I thought we'd start quite simple this
Mhm.
morning. I'd love to understand, or for you to tell our audience, what exactly is agentic AI and why is everybody suddenly talking about it?
So, we all know that everyone is jumping onto this bandwagon of agentic AI, and it all started when this generative AI came into being in later part of 2022. So within agentic AI, what we see is that we are automating a lot of aspect of processes and work, not just for doing things simply, but also AI is using AI bots to do its own job. So you have multiple agents, which are nothing but AI bots at scale, and they are talking to each other and doing the jobs, working for a master AI node, and then providing all the information to that master AI node, which is in turn taking care of all the end-to-end process ownership, work, helping us with respect to as simple as that doing a search, helping a person going and Googling, or now there is a new tool like Perplexity, sorry, where you can customize everything, but at the behind of it, you have multiple bots working. So simplifying human tasks with more heavy AI bots coming together to solve a problem.
Okay, interesting. And how does it actually differ from traditional AI, generative AI?
So traditional AI actually, so we have been using AI for more than 50 years now. I think there was one bot that was created called Eliza, which was built many years back as a chatbot. So AI's job is to automate and produce a tangible outcome, but it was one process, one element at a time. Then came generative AI, which is a combination of bigger data set, bigger and complex AI models, generating images, generating text, and now they have gone into the realm of actually taking NLP based commands and generating videos. Right. With agentic AI, it is multiple AI working together. So there are multiple bots coming together as agents, like you have agents in any secret service or agents in any service provisioning industry, like you have travel agents helping people with multiple travel bookings, right? So you go and talk to different travel agents and get your itinerary or the travel plan. Similarly, you have multiple AI bots working in parallel, working together, solving a bigger problem, but automatizing it, and then working with a master AI node and then providing all the outcome to that particular node. And in term, you have an end-to-end automated process, end-to-end value generating output that is completely done by AI. So you definitely need human in the loop, but predominantly everything is automated using AI. So small AI models working together
Yeah, I mean, what
in
actually
simple terms.
makes it, yeah, in simple terms, what actually makes it autonomous rather than just task driven? Like it's a kind of a crazy concept that it would be able to decide things for itself.
Definitely. So from the overall aspect or the overall idea behind is that you use these different bots which are performing small tasks but in parallel, so it becomes a very, let's say, a vast horizon of multiple tasks coming together, so it becomes complex. So they are not just doing a simple task but rather looking at providing a more value generating outcome and helping human beings. So, for example, we have seen that in trading of energy, or especially, let's say, power trading or provisioning of power in terms of distribution, trading the clouds and all that. And this is one example I'm giving. So that is where you can have multiple bots talking to each other. One is doing the historical document scanning, one is doing the price analysis on the real-time basis, one is looking at the weather information. Another bot is actually consolidating all the information. So the task is to come up with an automated real-time or almost near real-time price modulation for power, and all that can be done by these different bots coming together and providing all the information. So these bots are talking to each other, sharing information with one objective, that we have to provide a particular price for the power on, let's say, 5 minutes or 15 minutes interval, and help a particular trader or an operator, or helping the entire utility company to modulate the power and distribute it in a way that everyone is not overpaying it. At the same time, the companies are not losing money on top of it. So it's a win-win solution. So everything coming together and talking to each other and creating a very value-generating outcome. So what they are doing is that they are automating the overall process of knowledge sharing, learning on the way, and then adapting to the market as well as the user requirement, and providing the right output for the right value generation for the company, value generation for the consumers and the business users.
So it learns from its environment and things around it, essentially.
Correct. So
Yeah,
it
and that's
actually picks up the learnings. It is improving based on the outcome, and so it is AI, and it is self-learning AI, and then also collaborating. So earlier it used to be one person or set of people giving a command to an AI for a particular task, but here what is happening is it is not a task, it is a particular business objective that has been set, and now AI has to, or multiple AI bots have to adapt, learn, and then act towards achieving that business objective.
okay. Yeah, so I mean it's making these independent decisions based on what it learns from its environment around us, I guess. Could you, just for the audience who might not be as familiar with it, share any sort of real world examples, any sort of perhaps wow examples or even scary examples of how it's being applied at the moment, maybe like in healthcare, finance, or
Mhm.
even autonomous vehicles?
Certainly. So, see, this is still an evolving area. So there are multiple use cases, and then there are multiple POCs which are happening. I do know that with generative AI or agentic AI, only 15% or 10% of the projects actually make it to the production. And even of those 10%, 95% of the projects fail to provide any business value. So you have to have a very robust foundation. The reason I'm mentioning this is that there are multiple use cases, endless use cases now. But what I have seen in the market is that customers are saying, okay, guys, stop. We are done with the use cases. Don't show us use cases. We know it can work, but what value it generates. So you have to have a robust foundation, and we actually go ahead with an 8-step robust foundation with proper planning, proper change management, proper responsible AI infusion, and obviously having a right data foundation to support these business value generating use cases. Now, to give you an example, so one was the power industry that I touched very briefly at a very high level. Another example is, for example, and I'm not going to quote any real life implementation or a real life customer, but give you an idea that you are on a shop floor in a big automotive manufacturing company, and the floor worker is welding the doors to the car chassis. But at the same time, as it moves ahead into the assembly line, the another person picks up and start putting the door components. But at that time, the door components, let's say the button to bring the window up is missing. So earlier, a person used to then order it that okay, we are running low on it, or we don't even have it. So there could be a delay of 15 minutes to 1 hour to a whole day, right? For certain similar scenarios. So I'm not saying that it will be stopped for just one button, but in a worst case scenario, there could be a delay of a couple of hours, which may result in millions of loss for the automaker because they could have produced 10 or 15 cars additionally in that time, but they could not. Now with AI and especially the agentic AI, and then in between you also have conversational AI because that's how it all started. So the workshop or the shop floor worker or the person can order by talking to the AI the particular component, and it can place the work order, it can contact the supplier, and it can order. Even in the assembly line there are multiple departments which are managing these or holding these or storing these components. So it can go and tell it to that particular AI bot that, okay, order this particular switch or this particular button, and then it can talk to the, let's say, the storage manager or a storage personnel responsible for this button, and it will just bring it, right? So how it all started from the conversational AI point of view, but now with agentic AI it keeps monitoring. I mean, it's a use case, hypothetical use case. Has it been implemented? I'm not aware of it, but it's a hypothetical use case that it keeps monitoring how many such switches have been used, how many cars are planned to roll out of this particular assembly line today, and then, okay, we are running short of 1000. It will automatically let that particular warehouse or a particular distribution center or a storage unit bot that, okay, we need 1000 more switches. It can automatically pick it up, and then you have these robots which are running across the assembly lines, right? It can pick it up and bring it to the particular area where these workers can pick it up and then put it into the car. And now again, this human which we are talking about on the shop floor, they are also getting replaced with advanced robots, right? So those robots can talk to each other through agents and then fulfill this particular work order or overall supply chain within the factory, from the distribution this warehouse center to the assembly line, and bring all these components together automatically. And it can also be predicted and then prescribed well ahead in time that these are the steps that these particular bots have to take. And it's a combination of AI bots, combination of your computer vision, combination of the robots on the shop floor which are coordinating, and then it can fulfill this particular order. So like that, there are multiple use cases. It's a complex one when I explain it. It's a very, very complex one when we implement it, but when it is done, it is seamless. I mean, every bot, robot, and camera vision bot, data nodes, there are multiple things which are involved, talking to each other with a business objective of bringing that switch to the assembly line from the warehouse
Yeah.
where they are stored, and then it can be seamlessly implemented. Sorry, a very complicated example
No, 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 no.
and
I'm kind of,
complicatedly explained, but once it is done, then it is seamless.
I'll simplify it because I'm kind of visualizing it now as like a little team of army ants
Mhm.
that all have their own individual purpose, and one's running back and forth to do a different thing and telling the next one, and then they're carrying everything forward. So that it's kind of like it thinks and it does, like physical in the physical realm and the, well, thinking realm. Look, I know you mentioned agentic AI depends heavily on data. What kinds of data are most critical for it to function effectively?
So, see, it's endless set of data that you can use, right? But defining the right harmonized, right quality, and right availability of the data, and also the right access of data is very important. So the way we start with this particular agentic AI work is that first, before even jumping to the data or jumping to the use cases, and I'll just give you a systematic flow that how it works and how then it can provide value. You have to look at the objective and the ambition that what you want to do, because as I mentioned in the beginning, only 95% of the, 5% of the agentic AI projects are successful. 95% of them, they work, but they don't provide any value. Why? Because there are multiple things which are missing, like the objective and the goal. What exactly you want to achieve? Does it make
Yeah.
sense for the business to implement it? What is the end state you want to achieve, right? Most of the time that is missing. Second, you also have to identify these use cases, prioritize them, and map it to the business requirement. That is very, very, very important because most of the time you have like 120 or 200 use cases and everyone go with a big bang approach and then we will revolutionize everything and it will be enterprise wise implemented. It will never work. You have
Yeah.
to prioritize them, pick the quick wins and low hanging fruits, prove the case, and then also keep one thing in mind that you have the fast prototyping and quick hypothesis in place, like which is like a 20, 30 years old terminology, even more, right? But most of the people forget about it that you have to fail fast, you have to identify where exactly things are going bad and then fix it. Then you have a pilot or an MVP in place. Once that is there, then you scale it horizontally and vertically. So that is the third aspect of it. And then lastly, there are multiple other steps, but I'm just simplifying it. That you have to have a right operating model in place. You have to have a right roles responsibility defined. And everyone is moving towards this data mesh ways of working where you have data products, data domains, and everyone is talking to each other with simplification so that you have high quality of data. The right data is available at the right time to the right person, and it is curated in a right format. So having that foundation is a must because you may have a very fancy agentic AI, generative AI, and AI strategy. You will have a fancy roadmap for that. But it will all fail if you don't have the right data because otherwise it's garbage in, garbage out. AI will start, or agentic AI will start hallucinating. You will not be able to get the right answers, and all the tasks or the set of tasks that you have defined will fail. So you also have to put in the responsible AI into the place so that you are making sure it is abiding to the privacy principles, security principles, it is having traceability, explainability, and then you are also putting in sustainability aspect to it so that you are also not being sustainable in terms of focusing on the diversity, inclusion and equality, but also focusing on the consumption of the resources in the right fashion. So all these principles come in together, but definitely you have to have the right foundation, right quality, right metadata management, right traceability within the data as well, right business metadata, which is your business rules in place. So let me give you another example. I'll not name the customer or my ex-employers as well. But what we did was that we were talking to one customer. They didn't even have a definition of AI and data because that is the foundation that you need to actually define your controls, your policies, and then implement all these principles down the line. So the principles that I mentioned are not just only related to AI, but also are implied on the data. So if you want to harmonize data, traceable data, you want to have a right business rules, you want to have right a business glossary in place, definition in place. If you don't have that, you can't have a data quality. See, you can't have a AI policy, you can't put the right data and AI controls, and then you can't run your operating model. So once you have everything together, then only it will work. I'm not saying that you have to make everything perfect and put each and every block in the right shape and position, then only it will work. No, but you can take small steps as part of the POC or a pilot and implement it and then scale it, not in terms of just looking at the AI or a data product, but also looking at the overall operating model, which can start small. You define a role, define responsibilities, and then scale it vertically as well as horizontally. So, with this data mesh and data products ways of working, you are also looking at triangulation of business data consumer, business data producer, as well as the IT, which is an enabler. So this triangulation also needs to happen as part of this operating model. So from that point of view, having business alignment, as mentioned in the beginning, that you have to align the goals, you have to align the business objective. That means you also have to involve business or the actual user of this agentic AI and the data together with the person who will be implementing it, and then bringing in people like data stewards, data custodians, working together so that you have the right output. Sorry, a long answer.
Not at all, not at all. So you essentially decide, you focus on the objective and then work backwards from there. and then obviously figure out what data you need from there. I mean, how do people actually prepare their data environments? How do you get ready in terms of that quality, structure, accessibility? It must be a bit of a task.
So that is where people like us come into the play. And that is where we can help because we have the blueprint as well as the design of the such operating models and such requirements, and also finding out the gaps and then mapping those gaps and filling up those gaps with respect to the requirements processes. So usually what do we do is that we start, and even if I just put myself out or a consulting out of this picture, the way you can start is that you have to define a proper operating model with the proper RACI, right? Which is your responsibilities, accountabilities, and then who should be consulted, who should be informed, and all those aspects. But then you have to have the right data strategy to support your AI strategy. Because what I have seen most of the time that the data strategy exists, but in silo, then the enterprise-wide AI strategy comes into the play. And that is where the gap starts coming out. That, okay, we decided to put in the AI or agentic AI across the enterprise to solve the example I gave you, the work order management, right? So from that point of view, what are the data elements that you require? You require the supplier ID, you need the product ID, you need information about the location, the assembly line information, and then there are millions of moving parts and data elements as part of the data process. How do you capture that? So for that, you need proper catalog, business glossary, traceability, right? And then not just at the data level, when you have all this foundation, then you have to have this traceability and the catalog and the validation aspect of the AI models, and they are consuming the right elements of data to process all this. So it all starts at the data level, then vertically climbs up to the AI agentic AI work, and then to the use case level. And then from that perspective, what you need to do is that have an integrated strategy. So gone are the days where you had a separate AI strategy and the data strategy. Now you have to have a data and AI strategy, and also an operating model which encompasses all the elements of AI and data together. Otherwise, working in silo will fall. So it's a very theoretical answer that I give you, but definitely
Okay.
when we get onto the when we get our hands dirty, that is where we start visualize this particular process, and this process then help in standardizing everything. So if you allow me, I can give you a particular steps that how do we do it, right? So step number one, define the purpose, define the business outcome and the goal, right? Define the blueprint, that what exactly you need to do with AI and data. Blueprint in the sense, some companies are already mature enough to have, or they already have the right platforms to support their data and AI journey. Some starts with the strategy of having the right platform. So I'm not endorsing anyone, but I do work a lot with Microsoft, Snowflake, Databricks, and other niche players like Neo4j. So what they do is that they provide the enabling platform to process the data, link it across business use cases, and all these platforms are end to end, whether it is Databricks or Snowflake or Microsoft. So they actually can cover the end-to-end data process and the AI process value chain. So you don't have to go and look for multiple different products to fit in and then do the end-to-end process. No, one or combination of these three or any addition can fulfill that. But some customers already, or most of the customers already have this maturity of the platforms. I'm not saying how to use it or implement it end-to-end successfully. We have to help them as well. But then once you have the platform, then you move on to the value case prioritization, as well as finding out the low hanging fruits, strategic investment, what can wait, what cannot wait. So that kind of analysis that you need to do. Then comes the architecture, right? So you have the platform, you have the system, but then you also have to put in the agents or the AI bots that are needed. Someone has to design them, someone has to code them and implement them, right? And then even you have a bot, it will not solve everything because you have to have a right UI UX. That is one for the business user to consume the info, but at the back you also have to have the right integration. You have upstream applications, You have to acquire the data, process the data, clean the data, then feed it into this bots. They have to consume it. And then also you have downstream applications which are consuming the outcome of these bots. So that is where you actually can have a good user experience with a UI UX designer, right? So the technical aspect of it, that you have a working technical framework. Then comes the pilot that you need to do, or a POC, or a quick prototyping that you can do, or fast hypothesis testing that you can do. Then once you have implemented that, you can actually then implement it at scale. You can horizontally and vertically scale those bots, make it part of the overall operating model. You define the roles, that who manages what, how it is consumed, how the triangulation between the data producer, data consumer, now the AI consumer, as well as the IT as an enabler comes into the play, how the triangulation happens, and obviously the alignment with respect to the CXOs, right? When I say CXOs, it's not limited to CIO or a CTO or a CDO or the chief AI officer of the world, but also the CFO, CRO, CHRO, or the CEO of the world, right? Because the business alignment has to be there, and business becomes the consumer. And then obviously, once all this set and you have implemented it at scale, you have to do the continuous monitoring and continuous updates, because you have designed it once doesn't mean that it will run as is forever. So that's why you have to do the proper monitoring of the data pipelines, proper monitoring of the data value chain and the AI value chain as well. And that is where you can make sure that, okay, AI is not hallucinating, agentic AIs are talking, or bots are talking to each other, and they are providing the right output. And if there is any improvement that needs to be done, obviously these agentic AI bots are capable enough to do that, but you need to put responsible AI, and that is human in the loop, so that you ensure that the outcome is not impacting humans in any negative way. So that is the overall process or the steps that we take. And then steps can be moved here and there based on the requirement, if you are a small organization or a mid-size or a big organization. And also the way you put in the operating model, it could be centralized, it could be completely decentralized, or it could be hybrid. So like that, there are multiple permutation combinations and multiple steps you can do, because some of the steps I mentioned could be changed in the order as well based on the requirement.
Yeah, it sounds like most businesses would need help doing that. Sounds pretty complex to try and even start to attack that by yourself, I guess. But it's a good job that people like you exist, really, isn't it? So you can help.
But I'm more
I
of a
mean,
data guy. So yes.
good. In terms of that data piece again, do you have any examples where poor data caused unexpected or costly outcomes for AI? I'm not expecting you to name names, but I think it would be interesting to just examine what happens if you don't have the right data.
Exactly. So I'll give you two examples. One is very serious one actually, because it costed a person's life. A couple of years back, there was a big news in the AI and data, I mean, overall globally in the market. In Belgium, one person, he was very much focused on improving Earth and bringing in sustainability. And he was so concerned that he confided himself to AI to chat about it. And because there were no proper controls or responsible governance protocols implemented on that chatbot actually, after a certain time, started telling that person that even you are providing X amount of carbon dioxide footprint. So if you want to improve the earth, you should die.
So yeah.
That person took that step. So, not putting the right controls and right protocols can adversely impact us as humans, and who confided into AI for chat bot to share his concerns or her concerns was given such a uncontrolled and a negative reply, and continuously, that person took that step, right? So very bad example. But it happened a couple of years back. Then other bad example is that, and it's an American company, it's in public domain, but I'll still not name it. But there is an insurance company that is where There were bots which were involved in analyzing the premium of the insurance policy applications. And for a particular sect of the society, applications either were rejected or only processed at a higher premium because of certain risks which the AI bot thought exist. And then that set of the society either was not helped by that company, or their insurance policies or even the claims were rejected, right? Because of the ethnicity which was somehow embedded into the processing of that AI bot. And it started judging people based on their skin color and the background, which is a complete no-no. And then some other examples are like, I think in Microsoft there was one bot couple of or set of bots couple of years back, and then they started talking to each other in their own language. So they created their own language and then started communicating in that language, and the scientists kind of deciphered it, and then they found out that they are talking against humans. So there are
Well, this is what
certain
everybody's
scary.
scared of, right?
So there are certain scary scenarios like that, and then the scenario like the Terminator, right? That
Yeah.
the Cyberdyne Corporation will take over. I don't know. May when provides very large amount of food for thought that what you need to do.
Yeah.
But there are
Yeah.
certain scenarios that already happened with certain bad examples. So we have to definitely focus on the responsible AI and responsible business aspect of it as well.
It's really interesting because given that this agentic AI can make decisions independently, and like you said, these chatbots were creating their own language against humans. I mean, so how do we prevent it from making decisions that are biased, unsafe, harmful? Does that boil down to what we're feeding it?
So that is one that it boils down to what you are feeding in them with respect to large language models with 20, 30, 40 billion dollar, 30, 40 billion parameters, or even small language models, which are like a couple of 100 millions parameters, right? Or even 5 million parameters. Uh, because you have designed a data set doesn't mean that it will be explainable and traceable and secure by itself. You have to put in the right measures, and you have to put in the right controls and checks to make sure that it is not changing. And at the same time, in the AI, when you do when you use different modeling mechanism, right, to come up to a particular outcome, it could be as simple as that, like linear regression, or could be a deep learning convoluted neural network based model, right? And then more things are coming down the line. So from that point of view, how do you ensure that they will not create any negative outcome? Is that
Mhm.
put in the right explainable and ethical checks, put in traceability, explainability checks, put in the security, because that's why the right access, as well as let's say the secure access to the data as well as the AI is very important. Because you must have heard that if the World War III happens, it will not be fought with tanks or planes or missiles. It will be fought on computers, because it will be a
Yeah.
cyber attack. So you have the army of hackers that can go and change anything or create fakes, and that has already started happening with generative
Yeah.
AI. So you have to put in the right checks and controls and policies. You have to define that, not at the enterprise or the company level, but also you have to have right acts. I do know that there is also another side of the coin, like you have the NIST in USA, which is National Institute of Standards and Technology or something like that. I could be wrong, but it's NIST. They are coming up with their own AI regulation. In Europe, we already passed the EU AI Act, right? So it is going in the right direction. Definitely, there has to be certain ways to not to kill innovation, because too much regulation also creates hurdles.
Yeah.
But such regulations are also needed to ensure that proper monitoring and control is in place, so that the examples that I gave you does not exist.
Yeah. Okay, well, here's a question. Who is accountable if an autonomous AI system causes a critical error or accident?
Well, so that's where you need a very strong governance model with a very strong RACI, right? Because you can't just name someone. It could be a AI a builder or a AI distributor or AI seller or AI user, right? And there are multitude of other roles as well. Within EUA Act, there are certain rules which are defined, and then you also have to ensure that there are multiple checks happening at the enterprise level, then at the country level, and then the European Union level. But you have to, that's why define, and there is no one size fit all kind of a story.
Mm.
For each and every country and each and every company will have a different rules and regulations, rules and responsibilities as part of the regulation. So from that point of view, you have to have a strong RACI defined and then slowly
Mm.
concretize it to actually have the proper roles defined so that you can name and hold people accountable and responsible for it. Otherwise, it will be a problem. And that's why having a strong monitoring and strong operating model in place with a strong governance is the need of the hour. But I can't give you one name that who is responsible or who is accountable, but you have to define it
Mm.
based on the policies and controls and definition of AI and Gen AI for a
Yeah,
company and a country.
I'm wondering if it's the company, that provides it in the first place, because I know there are some cases going on that are quite current in the news as well. But it's an interesting point, because that's going to happen more and more the further along we get. A little bit scary, but nothing that big tech hasn't handled in the past, I guess.
Yeah, but it's a new era with a new demand of solution.
It is. It is. Look, final question, because I know we've been chatting for a while and I'm thoroughly enjoying this conversation, but how do you see the future of business with agentic AI and the workforce? What does it mean for the workforce if AI can independently handle outcomes?
So as mentioned in the very beginning, that one of the aspect is also the change management, right? Training of people as well as bringing in the right mindset. Because AI, Gen AI, agentic AI is not there to take away jobs or create a huge dependency for the businesses, right? There has to be a balance, and there will be a balance. That is what I am thinking. Because one thing is that just with AI, you can't run everything. You may have a startup, you may have a unicorn with five people or even one person who has solved one problem. But if you are talking about an enterprise which has multiple process checkpoints, multiple processes to take care of, you have to have the right set of people with the right training and enablement on AI and Gen AI to provide the right enablement for that particular business. So what I see is that more and more collaboration between humans and AI will grow, and it will provide the right outcome. Definitely in that process and during that journey, we will see some changes which we may have not envisioned, and we have also seen in certain areas, in certain tasks which are completely now driven by AI, but that doesn't mean replacing humans but enhancing humans to do something else. So that is where I see the future would be. I do know that skill set change will also come, because if you look at, and it's a market study, that till last year same time all these big tech giants were hiring 3 to 4,000 data and AI engineers every month. It has gone down to net zero now in terms of hiring, because since you have AI for business and AI for people, you also have AI for processes and AI for tasks, which are like AI for data, for example. So AI is also being used for automating the data pipeline, automating the process of data acquisition, and then applying the harmonization business metadata on top of it automatically, because that AI or set of AI understands what is the business objective. So from that point of view, certain aspects, even on the technical side, are getting automated. But does it mean you don't need data engineers? No, you need data engineers, but then their roles and their skill changes. They would do something additionally different. So that is what I see, that AI will enable and open up new venues to focus on for people, not just focusing on one task, but looking at multiple tasks.
Do you think you could see, do you think you could see entire companies built from pure AI?
You
No
mean,
human employees.
well, I'm also, so I'm an optimist as well as a futurist. So I do see such possibility that, if you're solving one business problem or solving set of business problems, and one person can build a unicorn that only uses AI bots to solve everything, it can happen. But will it happen tomorrow? No. But can it ever happen? Yes. So there is a possibility. And there is also one saying which is going around, right? And I don't know who said it, but the next or the first trillionaire in the world would be someone who is sitting in his or her basement, knowing how to make AI and agentic AI work to solve one or two key business problems. So that one person can run that particular company. So there is a possibility.
Yeah. Look, thank you so much for unpacking all of that for us today. I appreciate it so much. And is there anything else you would like to share before we close out?
So the one thing is that yes, definitely don't be afraid of AI or agentic AI. These are there to help you. And then another aspect is that without data, there is no future. So you have to have AI ready data. You have to have a strong foundation of data. And you have to put in, even though we have been talking about this data governance, data quality, metadata, master data management, I think for 30, 40 years now. But has anyone cracked it? No. There are certain companies who are doing much better compared to others, but are they 100% there? No. So it's a journey. And even 30, 40, 50 years down the line, we may still face similar issues, but focus on data, have a right data foundation to have a right AI foundation. So that's the only thing I wanted to pass on.
It's inspiring words for AI pioneers of the future as well. Thank you so much, Rudraksh. You take care, and we'll chat to you again in future, no doubt.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. It's a pleasure talking to you.
You too.